Hello everyone, this is Mirror Nuts, and today we'll be continuing our beginner-friendly Road to OSCP video series. Today we'll be looking at another hack-the-box machine, that is Sense. And Sense is a relatively easy machine, and it is based on FreeBSD. And FreeBSD is similar to Linux, and it is like based on Unix, so it's quite similar. So let's just get started with it. So first thing, what we are going to do is we are going to manually try and exploit this particular vulnerability present, and as well as we'll be looking at a POC. The POC was released after the box was released, so that's why we'll be looking at it later because it's very easy. Just put the script, enter a few things, and you get a shell, somewhat like that. So first we'll try and learn things manually, and we'll try to get multiple things over there. So what I always do is I run an auto recon scan. Okay, so those guys who don't know what auto recon is basically just like Nmap scan is running. So first your Nmap scan runs, it will check for all the open ports and services. Then based on that, it will do additional scans. Okay, so if port 80 is open, it will try and do additional scans over there. If port 445 is open, it will do additional scans over there. Okay, so that's why I use this. It's good for to automate enumeration, and I'll be using this as sudo because I'm not running the system as root, and I'll be giving the Python 3 switch to run this particular file. This is the directory like where my file is present, autorecon, and we'll be giving the target IP address, that is 10.10.10.60 in the case of sense. I'll be giving the O switch for output. I want to output it to this particular directory over here. Okay, so I already did execute the scan, so I wouldn't do it again. So let's just quickly go and look at the scan results. So first thing we see that there is only port 80 open and port 443. That's it. So both are like HTTP and HTTPS ports. Okay, so these are the two ports which are open, and you get something like light TBD, something, there's some version number over here, maybe a web server. So we have these two ports open. So first thing, let's just quickly go and look what we come across. So it directly takes you to the HTTPS web page. Even if I remove the S over here, it'll probably redirect me to the HTTPS only. So in short, it is like we are trying to go on port 80, but it's like, hey, you know what, you can't come to port 80. You have to go to 443 only. It's like taking you to the SSL one, the HTTPS. Okay, so we come over here and we see that there's a web application that is PF Sense, and PF Sense is mainly used for firewalls. So that is the application is based on that. So it's a particular firewall, you can manage it and everything. So if we see we have PF Sense over here, we have a username password. Probably we can just add default username and password, admin. Okay, it says incorrect password. Let's just check for PF Sense. It says like the default credentials of PF Sense firewall or admin and PF Sense. So let's just try this. Admin PF Sense. It does not give anything. It says like incorrect username and password. Okay, so then other thing what I would do is I'll run search exploit, and I'll check if there is anything interesting over there for PF Sense. And we see we have multiple vulnerabilities present, right? And we do not have a version number firstly. That's one thing, because since there are so many vulnerabilities present, how will I know that this particular web application over here is like 2.1 or 2.2, 2.2.5? So I wouldn't know that. So probably can go, and if there is no other information we get, probably can go and try multiple things over here. Okay, so what we'll do first is we'll run go buster scan. So GoBuster and AutoRecon for some reason does not work. It gives me error always. So I run it manually. So what we can do is we can locate the common text. Okay, so this is the one which we are looking for, the derb word list comment txt. So this file, what will happen is if you find that it's already present in your Kali like 2020 version. So if you check this file, it has like a 40,000 word list. Okay, different random names are present over there. So if we just cat it, we'll see that there are multiple words present. Okay, so what this will do is it will like probably check, like it will have multiple file names. So it will check for different file names across the web page. Okay, so it will check for WS stat, and it will like it will check it over here. So once we enter the address over here, right? So it will be like, hey, you know what, I want to check for this WS stat folder. Then probably there'll be some other, this like, WT stats. So it will check for stats folder, W stats folder. Then it will check for WT folder. Okay, it will just go on doing this thing till the whole list is over, and that's why we need this word list. And it will give us a response. So basically, GoBuster will just go and check that which all folders are actually present. Okay, so what we'll run a GoBuster scan. So we can do GoBuster. We'll do directory. We'll give the use switch for URL. Okay, we'll be giving HTTPS because HTTP does not work, right? It redirects you to HTTPS any which way. So we'll be giving that, and we'll be giving 10.10.10.60, and then later on we'll be giving the word list. That is, oops, I think, okay, probably locate common txt, get the location from here. Okay, this thing, go buster, PIR, U, HTTPS. Okay, so now we'll be given the word list, and we'll be feeding this common text, which has like around 4,000 words. And then later on, we'll be giving another, yeah, so we'll be giving the output wherever you want to output, like go bust, common, probably something like that. And then later on, you can, if we run this, so it would not run, it will give us some error. So it says like invalid certificate, cannot validate certificate for this because it does not contain any IP, SANS. Okay, so it says some error, right? So what you do is you skip the certificate validation, and you just give this case switch, okay? So probably this whole thing will run. So for the common text, what I always do is I always give the extension switch as well. What happens is if you do extension for txt, then php, sh, pl, py, and as well as, did we miss anything? Okay, let's go with this for now. So if we add all these extensions, so earlier we saw, right, that W stats folder was present, right? Just consider this, it is checking for W stats folder. So now what we have given extensions, right? So first it will check for W stats. Hey, here's W stats present. Then it will be like, no, it's not present. Okay, then check for extensions. TXT, is it present? It will like, hey, you know what, TXT is not present. Okay, then it'll check for like PL. I'm like, hey, is it present? We're like, no, it's not present. Check for PY. We're like, hey, yeah, this file is present. Okay, so it will give us a response. So it will not stop there. Obviously, it will just go and continue with like SH or probably some other more files. So this is why the TXT, the extension thing is very useful over here. So always when you're running common txt file against your directory, try adding this as well. And common txt, the word list is only 4,000 words, so it gets over really quickly. But I would not run the scan now because I already did run it, and it was not very useful because half of the information what you need for this box is present in this particular common txt. Other half you would not find it. Okay, so this is one thing which I don't like about this box. That is my personal opinion, because if we go to see if we get something similar like this in the exam as well, it's gonna take me like literally 2 hours to actually find that directory, because if we run a medium scan, because the other part of the other part which we see, it comes on a medium scan. Okay, I'll just show you all the medium one as well. So you can do locate medium .txt. So this is the one which I use for medium. Okay, so the medium one, you can use the lowercase one as well, but I use this. So if you do go bust over here, so it's the same thing what you have to do. Only thing is you have to replace this with the medium one. Okay, you have to just copy paste that with the medium one. And again, now you have to give the switches. Okay, so now I do not recommend giving so many switches over here. That's the main problem. If I give all these switches, it will probably take like 3-4 hours to execute this entire scan. Okay, so okay, just 1 minute. Let me fill it up. Okay. So I would probably just because the first file which we find over here, that's the user changelog txt file. Okay, so that is important. I'll just show you all the scan results. And the other one is you don't find it over here in the comment text. So you have to find it in the directory, this medium file itself, then only you're going to get that file. Without that file, I don't think you can even proceed further. So probably to even, I just, recently I just did execute the scan with only the txt extension, and it took me really long. So that's one thing that I don't like about this box. Mostly, if it's possible, it's quite good to see boxes with common txt present only. But this is one prime example also, maybe that don't only stick to common txt, use the medium list as well at times. Okay, so we run this scan, this exact scan we run, and we get the scan results over here. I'll just quickly show you all. The medium scan actually gives us multiple results. That is, there are multiple folders and all as well. Guys can probably go and check it out. But the thing, what where we can get some useful information is this changelog txt. So let's just copy it and paste. And we have this some security change log which says like issue, there was a failure in updating the firewall. Manual patching is therefore required. Okay, it says I mitigated 2 of 3 vulnerabilities have been patched and timeline remaining patches next maintenance. So again over here, we do not get any definite answer. Like we don't know, right, which vulnerability is present, which is not present. Because it just says like a high level overview. It say like 2 out of 3. So we do not know anything. So I'm like, okay, this information is not very useful. It's useful, but not very useful. So what we do is first we just check out for pfSense vulnerabilities, but for that also we require the version number, right? So we do not have the version number yet. So what we'll do, we'll look at the scan results again. We come across this system user scans, okay, sorry, the file, and which is not present in the the common txt. So if we just look at that common txt file, cat grep system users. So see, we do not have this particular file, but we do have the changelog. So if you do this, we do get that file. So changelog, the first one was actually present, but the second one is not present in the common text. Okay, so that is why you need the medium text. And if you do a medium text with all those file, because you'll probably not know, right, which file exists, txt, php. Okay, you can do a wild guess that, in the common text I found a changelog.txt. So probably the other files which would be useful would be txt itself, but still that takes like around 2 hours to scan. Okay, so what I will do is now I have this particular, sorry, we have that particular system users file. Let's just look at it, copy it and paste it. Okay. It says like support ticket, please create the following user. It says username Rohit and it says company defaults. Okay, so we have a username over here, but we do not have the password. I don't know which company, probably the domain or probably the pfSense, the application itself. So let's just quickly go to our main page again, the login page, and try to add Rohit. Okay, and password we'll probably try to add the default password which we found right earlier, the one over here. Okay, so we'll add this password because it says like company default, so probably like vendor default credentials, so that is pfSense. So we'll add that, and does not log in. Okay, if you let's see, oops. Okay. So it actually says username has to be Rohit with R caps, and this is another thing which is like kind of tricky thing that it says user Rohit, but if I enter Rohit over here and pfSense, so it does not give me anything. So probably I'll think like, hey, you know what, the password is wrong because we have a valid username, and probably try some other password like admin or something, but that's wrong. Actually the username is wrong itself, like it's Rohit, but it's Rohit with a small case r, and we have the password as pfSense itself, company default. And we come and we get a login page, like the status and everything. So we are in the web application in short, and we see that there are multiple system information. It shows like it has AMD CPU and something similar like that. Okay, so it actually shows us the release, sorry, the version number. That is the most important thing over here, like 2.1.3. So we have this version number over here, and it is based on this FreeBSD version, I guess. Okay, so this is what we got over here. So this is useful information. What we can do is we can just look for the vulnerabilities present over here. So we can do like pf sense 2.3.1 vulnerabilities. So we get multiple vulnerabilities. Let's just look at it. Something similar. While DLB actually they don't, better to avoid that. Okay, so we get multiple vulnerabilities. We have this exploit database. We have a Python script. So this is the one which will be looking at the other end, because this was released probably later on, like after the box was released, as somebody has created this particular exploit. So let's just avoid that. Probably we'll do it later. And first we'll look at over here also we find few remote command execution or something like that. Okay, so then there is another web page over here which says like there's command injection, as well as it says that go to part 1, and it says that this article vulnerability existing in PF version is equal to or less than. That means 2.1.3 or below that. Okay, so there's this vulnerability present. So there's XSS over here, but I don't think cross-site scripting is it's useful over here, because it's more useful where you have to steal some user session ID or something like that. Okay, so some other users, some other active users. So I don't think that would be required over here. And as well as it says something similar to what in that change log. It said like, hey, 2 of the 3 vulnerabilities have been patched. Okay, so probably we can consider that access as the first one. Okay, we can, and there is another command injection in diag DNS PHP or something. Okay, so it says like diagnostic DNS lookup, something similar like that, and we go to check. It says this diagnostic tab over here. So when we go to click, nothing happens. So I think the module was removed or something, because we see there is only one module present, that is the status module and system module. So probably they have removed those modules. So this also would not work, this first exploit over here, because we do not have any files probably present over there. It's just like a dummy name written over there. Okay. So the other one which we see is it says like injecting diag smart PHP. Okay, so this is the one which we can probably check over here, but again same thing, we do not have the diagnostic tab. Okay, so now we'll come to the third one. Okay, so the third one is command injection in status RRD graph image, something like that. So it says status first and RRD graph image, right? So probably we'll just look at it over here. We have the status and we have this RRD graph. So let's just go and click on it. And we get few graphs present over here. Multiple graphs are present. So let's just quickly go and look at the exploit more. It says something get database. Actually, this is the source code, I guess, how the database manages the entire script. Okay. And over here we see that this image shows us that we need to be in this graph image PHP. Okay, so this is the file which we need to find. And are we there yet? Okay, we have this PHP file, but it says like graph image PHP. Okay, so we do not have the image PHP, so we need that, and as well as we need this queues, and then probably enter our malicious command over here. Okay, so let's just find that, and if you go and check this, let's just do view image, and we actually get it. Okay, so this is the one which you're looking for, status RRD graph image. So this is the same one over here. Okay, so it has a database parameter as well as seen, and we need the database parameter as well. Okay, so what we'll do is first thing we'll try and route it through burp suite, and for that I'll just add a proxy over here probably, and in Firefox just add this IP address, that is the local host IP address, and the proxy port. Okay, then go to burp. Start burp. Okay, so Bob has started. Let's just reload this. Says like security warning or something. Okay, so we are over here and we go to Boop and we do not get that request. One thing is that it says filter hiding CSS image general binary content. So just click on this top thing and say, just mention show all. Okay, so it will show you everything. So you got this particular request present, right? So this is the one which you are looking for, which is there in the exploit. Okay, so what we'll do is it's a similar one. So if you want to cross check, you can just check. It's a similar one which you are looking for. So we'll just quickly send it to repeater. And if you don't know what repeater is, so repeater basically it is if you can modify a request and you can check the response. So it is very easy. It's like very convenient. You enter something or you get the response. You enter, you get the response, that and so on. Okay. So what we do not need all these parameters. I guess we only require the database parameters. So let's just remove the start and we do not need this and sign and we'll remove this as well. Because in the POC itself is given that we just need one parameter, so don't mess with it. As well as the POC, it's mentioned that you need this queues word over here, right? So the value should be queues. You don't need the system process RRD. So just remove this, play it safe, and just end this. So probably after this, we can have a command injection present. So first thing, always to check for command injection, you can either send your a ping request to your attack machine. Okay, so you'll be sending particularly a ping request from here once we have remote command execution. So once it reaches our system and we can sniff it using TCP dump, we'll come to know that remote command execution was successful. Or what we can do is we can do a sleep for probably like 10 seconds and we can check on that. Okay, if we get some response or no. So let's just do sleep. Okay, it says like bad request. Why? Because I did not URL encode it. So let's just URL encode with sleep. So it's taking quite some time. So that means it is successful to, we can successfully do remote command execution over here. Okay, so we got the output after 11,000 milliseconds. That is like 11 seconds. So let's just try 5 seconds maybe. So this is how repeater is very useful. You just modify one request and you can get the response over here. 5 seconds waiting. We got it in 6 seconds, obviously because it will be delay like ping and everything. So we got it in 6 seconds. So I think this is, we can have remote command execution over here. Another thing what we can do is we can ping. We can, use this particular command. So what we'll do is in order to get the ping request, we'll be using TCP dump. So we'll do sudo TCP dump and we'll be giving the I switch for interface. We'll be giving tunnel 0, that is the HackTheBox, which connection it is using, the VPN connection, and we'll be giving ICMP packet. And we started it. Okay. So now one thing, since I have literally solved this box, and if I do this particular command, it's not going to work. Okay. I'll just show you. I'll just URL encode it. Okay. I'll just give the count as 2 URL encode. It's not going to work. It's not going to send you any request. You're not going to get anything. Why? Because there's a bad character present. So that means we cannot enter this particular. Okay, so we do not need the URL encoding anymore. Just remove it. So this dash over here, right? So this is the bad character which is present over here. So we cannot use this in any of the systems. So I can probably just do one thing. Just do ping. Okay, manually URL encoded, or you can just select it and press Ctrl U. Now if I'll send it, it'll keep pinging my system. Okay, so we can just check that quickly. It'll keep pinging. Since now I've not given the count, it will go on pinging till I restart the system or something probably. Okay, so I'll just close this for now. I do not need the TCP dump, but it's still pinging my system in the backend. Okay, so now I got this ping request, so that means remote command execution is successful, but there are few bad characters which are present over here. Okay, so what we'll do is we somehow first thing we need, since there is, okay, we can just do who am I over here and let's see if we get a response. Okay, probably that thing is still pinging over there, I guess. Okay, cancelled. We'll do sleep again and see if it works. Send. we got the request. So what we'll do is we'll just write who am I probably, just to see if we get any information. And we do not find anything as who am I, like we do not get any information as such. So this is like a blind command execution. So we do not get any output over here. So that means it is blind. Okay. So we need to somehow find it using, you have to send some parameter to our attack machine or somehow, and you have to find that, this particular things are present or no in the system. Now another thing what you can do is first you can probably just write a which Python, okay, and then later on you can execute that command and see if we get those details. In short, what I mean to say is if we do which Python, okay, so I'll just quickly show in my system over here which Python. It will actually give me a directory which says which Python. So in this particular way, we can identify and validate that, hey, you know what, in this Kali machine, Python is present. Because once we did which Python, it gave us some entry, right? Now what will happen is if I just give saying like ASD, something like that, okay? That means it is not present in actual scenario, it is not present, right? So we'll do which ASDS, it does not give anything. Okay, so if we do which NC, it gives us the NC location. That means this thing is present. But if we do which NCR ASD, it does not give any output. Okay, so we'll be using this particular which function over here since there are bad characters present, and there are multiple bad characters. So it's very difficult to do things, and you actually write the some code or reverse shell code or something. So probably we'll be using this method over here. So since we found which NC, right, so we'll be using one script what we'll write and probably try and put that script into the octal. You encode it with the octal value, so that once you encode it in an octal, so that browser is not going to consider as a bad character, it's going to let you pass. Okay, so that's what we are going to do in this box today. And so first thing what I would be trying to do is I'll probably write a small one liner script that would probably say as like test percent, and we'll put it as which Python. Okay, let me close this. Then we'll probably go as if z. Okay, I'll just quickly explain you all the script as well. Test. Okay, then sleep 5 probably. Okay, else echo. Okay, we'll just do this. We will not put any else, and we'll just end it. So we have to end it with fi. Okay, so we'll be doing this, and then later on we'll be executing this entire command with bash for now. Okay, but I don't think this particular what do you say, FreeBSD has bash present, so probably we'll have to check with sh as well. So first thing we'll just check with sh itself, and we'll just check. So what happened here is I'll just explain the script quickly. Just ignore this warning. First thing is, it will be like, hey, you know what, I created a variable that is test. You can create any variable. You can mention it like test, mutated, anything. So you created a variable, then you give an equal to sign, okay, and you gave this dollar sign over here. What this basically does is, we'll be giving a which Python command. Okay, so it will be like, hey, which Python? So which Python, it will probably take this input from here and it will feed into this particular file over here. So what will happen is our test file over here consists of this particular data. Okay, so I'll just quickly show you all how it works over here. Let me copy paste. Yeah, so we have this present. Okay, let's just break in parts. So first line I just entered over here, right? So probably we'll just go line by line. I hope you guys know what if-else statements are. So if you guys don't know, I'll just quickly go over it. So first thing is we are creating a random variable. Okay, we are creating any variable. It can be any variable. It can be any variable or something like that. Don't keep it so long. Probably just keep it short. Test. Okay, then we give this dollar sign because we want to add this over here. So this is how the bash scripting works. You probably have to add this particular sign over here. And then we are executing a which Python command. Okay, so once first this command will get executed. then it'll be like, hey, you know what, if we have to, if the, so what this entire statement is, that this Z switch you have to give over here, that means if this particular value is 0, then it will return a true. Okay, so if this is 0, so then it will probably take you over here. Okay, sleep 5. If it is not 0, then it will not go to sleep 5, it will just end it. Okay, so it will just end. Okay, I'll just show you all what I mean. So first thing is it will do which Python. Okay, so we have which Python over here. We'll probably take this, copy it and paste it. So first step, it got you over here. Okay, it got this file present over, it executed it. Then it will be like, hey, you know what, if this thing is not 0, this file, because since it was test file, right? So if this file is not 0, okay, for some reason, okay, so this test file, if it is not 0, then you, sorry, if it is 0, then you put it to sleep. Okay, otherwise you don't put it to sleep, don't do anything and just end it. So this is what is happening, is just ending it directly. Okay, over here. And so that's how when we added this particular file, so when once we executed this file, it just directly ended it. Now I'll show you all what will happen if I add some, random string over here, like ASD over here, as I mentioned, and it did not give us any value, right? It just gave us a blank, it did not give anything at all. So now what will happen is, once we gave this which AHD, that means over here which AHD will come, and it will be like, if this is 0, that is this is null, because this Z switch will check for that, and then later on it will be like, then you go to sleep for 5 seconds. So this is the command which you are adding, then and then sleep for 5 seconds. So we can probably check on that. Just close this. Okay. I don't think I need this. Okay. So that means we had to see, we did run this and it did not, it took some time, right, to execute. Because it went to sleep for 5 seconds. You can probably count and it's like 5 seconds. It went to sleep. Okay, so now again over here, if I add Python, it'll be like, hey, it just gave the output very quickly. I know it gives some error, but it just gives the output very quickly. That means this particular file is present, right? So that means now if we look over here, if we just change this to probably blank, okay, since we are using which, we'll be using which xyz, which like random file which does not exist, so it will probably give us a blank value. It'll be like, hey, you know what, I'm blank, and it will be like, hey, if this is blank, so this also is blank, right? The value of this is blank. So then now you go to sleep for 5 seconds. Okay, usually it's like, if this thing is blank, go to sleep for 5 seconds, else do something else. Okay, we don't want to add that, we just want to add the sleep statement. So I hope it is very simple to understand. I know it's a little bit tricky and confusing, it looks, but this is what is happening, and this is where, even used for SQL injections, where you do blind SQL injections and you do not know the output. So probably you'll send it and it will be like, hey, you know what, if this file exists, then put your system to sleep for 10 seconds. Okay, or you can do the other way around. If this file does not exist, then you put your system to sleep for 5 seconds. So it will be like, hey, does this particular file exist in your system? Then it'll be like, yes, it exists, but so that means it will just close immediately. It will give us a response immediately. But if the file is not present in the system, so that means it will be giving us a sleep for 5 seconds. It will wait for 5 seconds, be like, okay, fine, I'll go to the next command which says sleep for 5 seconds. So I'll sleep for 5 seconds and I'll be like, okay, fine. After that, I'll send you a response. So that is how we are going to use, because we need to find out what all files are present over here. So somehow we can initiate a reverse shell. Okay, so this, I know this, the video is a bit, more descriptive on this part, because I feel it is useful to know, and I myself try to figure out multiple things on this particular remote command execution. So just wanted to share. Okay. So first thing is, since it will not accept any dashes or anything, and here we'll have multiple dashes or something, right? Any script which will execute will be having some dashes or some bad characters like forward slashes. So what we'll do is, first thing, we have this entire script present over here, right? What we'll do, we'll just take this entire script and we'll try and put it into this, we'll convert it into Octal. Okay, so I'll just take this particular file, not the sh file, I don't need that. Copy, and we'll change it to octal values. So we can do it on our Kali system as itself, but it is better over here because I'll just show you all. If you do this, okay, and then probably you have to echo it, echo, okay, so you have to echo the entire list so that it will, display this thing itself, and then later on you can run od, b and an. So B is like, it's basically converted into octal. So OD is the function, like how we use NC or Python, right? So that way OD is the tool, and we have to give AN, because if we give AN, then it will display output like this. Okay, if we do not give AN, I'll just show you all how it will display. It will display like this. So it is very difficult to copy because it will give you the values as well. So you don't want to do that. So it's better to go over here and you can check it out. Okay. Sky to Octal. Probably use this particular tool. Sky to Octal. Before that, what we can do is, instead of getting that particular file, we can just probably add a ping command. Okay, so we'll try and get a ping command file over here. So we'll do ping. Now we'll give the dash, okay, and we'll give the C to show you all that actually it works. And we'll be giving 10.10.14.20. Okay, that's it. But okay, I can give that. Okay, but if I start the TCP dump now, it will actually keep pinging me the request which was present earlier. Okay, 0ICMP. So it is actually pinging me from the request which was present earlier, but obviously from the sequence number we'll come to know that this ping is different. So we'll just quickly check on that. Okay, so we have the octal number present over here. We got the octal number. We enter the ASCII value. We got the octal number. So another option which we can disable is, we do not need the octal padding. Like, we can remove this. It's okay if it is present. Not a big deal. It will work either ways because I have tested it. So we'll just remove it so that we reduce the number of characters. So we'll just take this, copy it, okay, and we'll probably just split this over here. We'll work down. And first thing what we have to do is, you have to echo the request, because you need to modify this particular content present over here. So I don't know why okay, echo, okay, okay. So what we'll do is, we'll echo it and we'll put this content present, and then later on we are gonna use the tr tool, and what it will do is, so it'll be like, hey, you know what, I want to change the blank spaces over here to the backward slash. Okay, so if I give one backward slash, because I just need one, right, I just need to change one black, I just need to give one backward slash. So this will not work. It will basically put me into next line. So probably I have to use two backward slashes to get one backward slash. Okay, and you can get the output over here itself, because you'll find it over here. So this is the output which we got for the ping command, and we'll take it, copy it, and now we'll go. And so another thing is, how we are going to use it is, because you have to use printf. Okay, printf, then we'll be using plus, and then we'll be using the backward slash over here. We'll be pasting it. And so we used printf. You use the plus because obviously you have to leave it blank, but you have to URL encode it, right? So that's why I use the plus. And then later on, after that, you close it again. We do not need this, and then we'll be giving sh. Okay, so this is how we are going to. Before that, I just want to show you all how it actually works. I'll just give a simple command which says like, who am I? Okay, so we'll give who am I. We got this octal value over here. We'll do the same thing which we did earlier. We'll take this, paste it, okay, and we'll be giving the trunk command, the trunk tool, and then later on we'll be giving this. Okay, we got this value over here. Copy selection. We'll be using print f, not the plus now because obviously we don't want our URL encoded. And then we'll be giving this and the backward slash over at the start because you need it at the start. So this does not give us a backward slash because there's no space over here. So manually we'll add it, and then later on we'll add this. Then later on after that we'll be executing this command using sh. Okay, so this is what we are gonna do. And we see we get the output that is Kali. So actually if I do who am I on my system, I'll get it as Kali, right? So I did the printf, I gave the octal value of who am I. Okay, so this is the octal value of who am I, and it actually works. So that means first thing, whenever you're executing into remote, so try and execute things in your local machine first to see if that command actually works. Okay, so now another thing what I want to show you all is echo does not work over here for some reason. So it says like not found, the command not found. Okay, so this is how it is, and probably we just got this particular file. So what we'll do now is we'll try and get the ping command. Obviously the sequence over here has reached 997 over here, so probably we'll give another ping command and see if it works. So we have this file over here, we'll try and send the ping request, and see we got another ping request which is coming over here. Okay, which came over here, and okay, it just went away. I just want to close this TCP dump, so that otherwise it will keep going. So it came over here, right? Sequence 0 and sequence 1. So there were two pings which came over here. So why I want to show you all this is because we gave the count over there given was the 2, right? When we saw in the video, you guys can probably go back and check. We had given ping and C count 2. So this is the sequence which we got, okay, and actually works. So this octal thing actually works, and we can probably bypass that dash and multiple bad characters. So now what we'll do is we have this present over here. Another thing what we can check is, see, I can understand now we have this present, probably we can add multiple things and check, but I just want to show like how this particular one remote command execution where we got stuck can help us probably later in executing multiple things. So now I want to check that which Python is present, right? Which Python is present, and it will be giving us this particular thing. So we'll be using this code which we had written earlier. Okay, I'm really executing as sh. Okay, so we'll take this code and put it over here. Okay, copy to clipboard. We'll make it sleep for 5 seconds. Okay, now we'll echo. This is the manual way of doing it. I'll be showing later at the end of the video. Like there's one script available as well, like POC, which is present, right? It has a small part which we can use it as a script for ourselves in the future. So, to obviously avoid all this work. But I just want to show you all how it works. So that's why I'm just doing it manually. Okay, we'll do this. We get a long string. We take that. Okay, I think my bad. I added that sh as well. So if you delete that sh, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So we have to delete the remaining 3 characters over here. This is h, this is h, and this is that straight line. Okay. Take this, copy it, and paste it over here inside this. Okay. First we'll add the backward slash, and then later on we'll paste it. Okay, so now the command which we are entering is which Python. Okay, so that means if Python is actually present in this particular system, it will give us the output immediately. It will close immediately, right? It will give us the output maybe in 1-2 milliseconds. So if it is not present in the system, it will probably take like 6 seconds as we saw earlier, right? So probably let's just check. And we got the output in like 1.6 seconds or something like that. That means that was really quick, right? So what we'll do is another thing, since it looks like Python is present, right? So that means we can probably just write that Python exist. Okay. So now we can obviously you guys may be wondering that how do we come to know if this file actually does not exist. So I'll show you all that as well. So over here we'll mention like XYZ okay, just mention some random file, take this, copy it. Obviously you can just modify only the contents which were present, but it's kind of confusing, so better do it this way. Take this, okay, okay, copy it and paste it over here. Delete this first, paste it. Okay, so we got this present. Now we'll send a request. And now since we had mentioned, right, our main purpose of this entire code, okay, so this is the one which I've created script, okay, you guys can probably have a more efficient way of creating, you all can create it. But probably I've created this code which will probably help me in future as well. So what happens is it comes after 7 seconds, okay. So that means it says like, hey, you know what, this particular file does not exist. And earlier when we had entered Python, it actually gave us the output in like 1.6 seconds, right? So if you see over here, we go back and we send this file. So it says in 1.8 seconds. It takes some time, like 1 or 2 seconds, because there's a delay, which the request gets processed and everything. But yeah, so if you see this one, it comes in like 7 seconds. Okay, so that means we are given the 5 minutes delay and this. So now we'll be looking at, we got Python. Okay, we are happy. Like, hey, you know what? We can just add a Python reverse shell over here, and then we can get the what do you say? You can get your output and everything. Okay, so that is one thing which we can do. Other thing is we can probably check for another file which is very well used, that is Netcat. So we can use that nc. We'll just do nc, take this, copy it, again same thing over here. So here the same thing, right? We are using echo, so that means it will echo this request first, and whatever these files are present, so after we are piping this output, right? So it will be like, hey, pipe this to this particular tool, and this tool, what it will do is, it will be like, hey, there's a blank space. Wherever there are blank spaces, I want to replace it with backward slash. Now, why I'm entering 2, I don't want to replace it with 2, because if I enter 1, as we saw earlier, it gives us another line to enter. It probably takes you to the next line. So that's why you have to enter 2. Press enter, you get these. Take this, copy it. Copy it and paste it over here. Enter the slash over here and paste it. Don't try to URL encode this entire thing, okay? Because it will give that person thing. Probably it will work, but okay. Just try. So now we entered Netcat, right? So that means if Netcat is present, it will not take the sleep command. It will be like, hey, you know what? I'll give you the response right away. But if Netcat is not present, it will be like, hey, I'll take my time. I'll sleep for 5 seconds and then I'll respond you back. Okay, so let's just do this. And we get the response immediately, like in 1 second or something. That means Netcat also is present in the system. And why we checked for Netcat? Because I wanted to show you all there's another way how you can send this particular file, right? A reverse shell to the system. Okay. So since we found Netcat is present, so one thing what we can do is we can just quickly go delete everything over here, and we'll be using Netcat. What we'll do is it's very simple. What commands we executed using this Python and this octal values, we can just do it with. We'll enter which Python, and we'll be giving nc, and we'll be giving port. Okay, this is the attack machine's IP address, and we'll be giving the port 4444. And now we'll obviously URL encode it. Okay, we did that. Now what we'll do is we'll just go over here, close this probably, clear, and then later on see NVLP 4444. Okay, so we gave 4444. Okay, so now what we'll do is once we send this request, what we are doing first, we are like, hey, which Python is present in the system? Then will be like, hey, you know what, pipe this with Netcat. So what will happen is whichever output it will give over here, which Python, probably like user bin Python, it will take that user bin Python value and it will be like, hey, you know what, I'll send this particular data to this particular IP address over here and the port number. So let's see how it works. So it just immediately closes, right? So the connection closes. We get some shell over here. It says like user local bin Python. So that means he obviously, because the Python was present right over there. So that's how we got the output, and that's how we came to know that Netcat is present as well. So we can add Netcat as itself. I know you're using the same tool, but just for FYI, okay, probably you have to start this listener again. And it says like user bin netcat. Okay, so now we have remote command execution. Now we'll be like, hey, you know what? Let's just check who are we as, like who am I, obviously. So we have to start this again. We got who am I. Okay, it says root. So okay, if we get a shell, that means we are directly as root. There is no like privilege escalation required. Okay, so we have that, and now what we'll do is another thing. We'll just so okay, so now we need the reverse shell present, right? So we need a reverse shell. For reverse shell, we can either do the octal way. Okay, so I'll just quickly show you all the netcat way first because we already started with this netcat. So probably we'll do this. What we'll do is we'll delete this who am I now. First we'll be like, hey, you know what? Send a request to this particular IP address over here. Okay, this is my system's attack machine's IP address. Send a request over here on port 444. I think we'll close this as well. Okay, so we'll send a request over here, and then later on I'll just show you all. First we need a Python reverse. Since we had Python, right? We saw Python present over there. Python 1 can use pentest monkeys. This box is very limited with things. Okay, firstly it is not running bash, it is running sh. There are multiple things over here, so we have Python. Luckily we'll take this Python file. Okay, we'll go to create a document, create file, just mention it as reverse.py. Okay, open it, paste it. Somehow you have to obviously format it because it is a one-line file. Can probably just use these. Okay, we'll delete this as well. So now one thing, this is the file which we are going to send so that it executes over there, right? So this is the file present. We'll obviously modify our attack machine's IP address will mention over here. So that is 10.10.14.20, and as well as the port. Okay, now we have to give the port different port, okay, 55555. I'll tell you all why. So we'll just enter this file. It will be like bin sh. Okay. So this is the Python request. You don't have to modify anything over here. Don't have to check anything over there. We'll probably have this attack machine's IP address, right? And then we'll have the port number. That means our system port. So now what we'll do is we'll add another port over here, listener. Okay, NC NVLP 5555. Okay, so we have this listener present. We have this listener present. Now what we'll do is we'll try and use this listener that whenever somebody tries to connect us, okay, to this particular machine, that is 10.10.14.20 and port 4444, we will be sending them a file immediately, that is reverse.py. You're like, hey, you know what, you sent a hello request. I'm just saying in general, if you send a request, you want to initiate a request, I'm sending you this file as a welcome gift. Okay, so probably he's just sending a reverse.py. Like, no, you have to take it only. It's a gift. You're coming over here. It's a welcome gift. We are giving it to you. Okay, so that way we can mention this file. And this file is present over here, right? We can probably just check the permissions. Some chmod. I don't think permissions would affect over here, but yeah, just don't want any error messages. So we are like, hey, you know what? Whoever is coming and trying to reach our port 4444 will be giving reverse spy file to you as a gift. You're like, hey, you know what? Take this file. So it's like it's waiting connection. Okay, it's like, hey, who's gonna send us anything? So probably we'll just go to burp. We have this netcat. We're like, hey, you know what? I'll be sending a connection to this particular file. First, I'll just URL decode it to make things easier. I'll be like, hey, netcat, I'll be sending this to this particular file over here. I'll be sending a connection. So once this, sorry, once we have remote command execution done, okay, so once we have remote command execution over here, and Netcat will be like, hey, you know what, sorry, once we send something, and then this guy will be like, I need to send a Netcat connection. Netcat is listening over here, right? And it's with the file. Okay, I'll just mention reverse. Okay. So Netcat is waiting over here with the reverse file. So first, once we do remote command execution over here using burp, it will be like, hey, you know what? I need to send a Netcat request to this particular attack machine. Okay. Then you're like, hey, thanks for reaching over here. Now I'm giving you a gift that is this reverse file. We're like, okay, successfully take this reverse file over here. Take this file, okay, and keep it. Just store it. Not any in any folder, but just store it in that particular command itself. So now what it will do is, once it got this reverse file, it will be like, I'll just quickly show you what to do. Once we have this Python file, what else we'll do, right? We'll try and execute it using Python. So we'll be giving this and Python. So first it will be like, hey Kali machine over here, I'm sending you a particular connection. So it'll be like, okay, send it to me. Then this Kali machine would be like, sorry, Kali machine will be like, hey, you know what, take this reverse file as well. So this is the first part of this command, okay, before the pipe. This is the first part, that's it. So it will come over here, then it will be like, hey, you know what, which file we gave you, right? That is the reverse file. Okay, this is the file. I want you to execute it as Python. Okay, I'm going to, obviously, because we need to execute Python files as Python, right? So I need you to execute it as Python. So this is what it's going to do. So firstly, obviously, we'll URL encode it, and we'll be waiting over. We are already feeding this, right, over here. We are waiting over here. We are ready to feed, and we kept this port open as well. So let's see what happens. So we got some request over here. It says connect to from something. I think the reverse file has gone over here, right? So now what we'll do is it looks like we have some shell, but I don't think so we have some shell, because we inside this we have mentioned the port 5555. Okay, so let's just type for, just to see, confirm who am I. It does not give anything. So what we'll do is, I think this shell job is done. It gave the file to the attack machine. Okay, the reverse file has already reached over here. So the part of the 444 is done. So probably we'll just close it. And once we close it, we see that we get a shell over here. Okay, so that means it successfully took the file, reverse file over here in this command, since it requested, and we gave a welcome gift over there, and then it executed that file as Python. Okay, and this Python file actually got executed, and we are in the system as root. Okay, so obviously we can go and check for get the root flags and everything else. So this is how we get root into the system over here. And I know this shell is very limited. If you do LSLA, so we are still stuck over there itself, I guess. No, okay, we come back. Okay, so we come over here, we go to home, LSLA, we go to Rohit, LSLA. We can very well read the user flag, as well as we can go to root directory, and we can probably read the root flag as well. So the other way to do this box is, like similar. Since we have Netcat present over there, so we somehow got this shell, right? So what if we do not have Netcat? We have to do it using Python itself. So what we'll do is we'll be giving the Python. We'll be using the Python reverse shell. Okay, so we'll just go and get the one-liner shell again. Just paste it. Okay, this entire file comes over here, and probably, okay, we can use this entire thing. Obviously you have to modify the attack machine's IP address, that is 1420 in my case. We'll be giving the port as 5555. Take, copy it, and then later on we'll be going to the convert ASCII and we'll be pasting it. Okay, the entire code over. This is the one line Python code which we are writing. Okay, so we'll take it, copy it, and then we'll do the same process again. Obviously we'll be giving echo, and then we'll be giving this, we'll be giving tr tool, and then we'll be replacing blank spaces with the obviously one backward slash. We write it too, because otherwise it will not work, and it will give us a new line. Okay, so we got this particular output. Just take it, copy it. We'll just run our Netcat on port 5555, and we'll just take it. We'll go over here. We do not need all this in the earlier Octal version. Okay, so we'll do it in the Octal version which we had seen earlier. We'll be giving printf and then space, and then this we end the command, because obviously you have to print this things inside this, and we'll be piping it with sh. So I'll just add plus over here, because obviously URL encode you have to add that, and then I'll be adding one backward slash at the start, and this is what the whole content would look like. So now let's just see. I'll just send the request and I'll see. Okay, our Netcat is running over here, right? Okay, just go and click send, and see we have a shell over here, and we are in the system as root. Okay, so this is just a small thing, and the Octal thing I obviously got some hints from the other POC script which we'll be looking at now. So what we'll do is we'll look at the POC script. We'll probably just close this for now. We'll do source exploit, and we'll be giving pf sense, and since now we have the version number, right, it is 2.1.3, and that is below this particular version number over here. Okay, it says like below 2.1.4. probably there is a command injection over here. Probably just go and use this file. We can do source exploit. We can take the M switch and we'll paste it so that it gets pasted in a directory wherever we are working. We go and check that file. Oops, not this one. Okay, so this is the file which we are looking for, and it says that we have to pass multiple arguments. Okay, so this is also obviously you need, it is an authenticated exploit. That means you need a username, you need a valid password. Okay, so that's how. So this is where I got this understanding about this octal value, and to make things easier, I had printed the payload first to check how it actually encoded it, and then I not encode exactly, but it just converted it basically. I would not call it encoding. So then later on after that exploit, right? So how the exploit URL looked like. So I just got the URL and I tried to send a request using that particular same URL, and that's how I did some testing behind it. And if you guys want, you guys can probably just take these two, probably, yeah, that's it. If you guys want, you all can just save this entire script over here, only this part. Why? Because you can take this and probably later in future, if you get stuck in the burp suit, right? If you cannot send bad characters, so probably you can use that octal as well. So you can just save it over here, and you can what you can do is you can just add a line which says like print and payload. Okay, so that means it's going to print the payload whichever we are entering, instead of we manually taking the command and then running this echo thing, right, echo in the octal values and truncating it. So this will actually give us a proper value. So just we'll run the script, but for now I'll just write print and payload to show you all how it actually works, and as well as print exploit URL. There's no need to write this over here. I just want to show that once I run this payload, how the output, what output it will give, what octal value it will give, plus the URL present over here. Okay, so the payload command is present over here. It says like it's the same Python reverse shell, because this POC also, it's assuming that Python is present in the system. Okay, so that's how it is going to work. And obviously this POC was released after the box was released, like on HackTheBox. So let's just go and we have to enter like our host, help port, username, password, and everything over here. Okay, so that's it. We'll not change anything else. We'll just quickly run it and see how it works. First thing is obviously LSLA. We do not have to modify anything in the script, so we'll just give. Okay, we already have execute permissions. Just run it as Python 3, I guess. Yeah, I have to run it as Python 3. 43560.py, and then later on we'll be giving our host, and that is 10.10.10.60. Then we'll be giving the host, that is 10.10.14.20, and port we'll be giving it as 4444, and we'll be giving the username, that is Rohit, small r, not the capital R. I'm giving the password as pfSense. Okay, so before we run this, we'll just go over here and start a Netcat listener. Okay, we'll run this exploit now and see. Okay, I'll just close this. Okay, I want to show you all the actual payload which comes. Okay, so okay, done this, run this exploit. It's taking some time. Okay, unrecognized command. Okay, we missed a dash over here. So see, it printed out two values first. I'll just show you all that once it starts running exploit, and we get a shell over here. Okay, we do mi root. That's it. Okay, we do exit. So since see, if we just got this exploit, we did run it, and then we got some output. Yeah, obviously that's how it has to be, right? There obviously there'll be some POC or something present for all the boxes. But eventually, I took the manual route because some way it was very helpful to get this octal value thing, right, so that we can avoid the bad characters. So that was one way I wanted to show in today's video. And so this is the first script, right? So this is the print payload. So if you go and look at the script, so this is this payload which is getting in octal value. It is converted into octal for ASCII. So this particular command over here, since command is used, so it is like 4 character in command. Keep doing this thing. So it's adding the slashes as over here. Okay, single slash, it's rooming that 0. Okay, so this is how it works. This is the first payload, and then later on we look at the exploit URL, which is similar to what our URL look like. Okay, print database, then it says like print f, right? Then URL encoded, that is plus, and then later on again the sh. So between the print f over here, between the printf and the sh, we have our in this octal value payload. Okay, so this is how the entire box was. Hope you guys liked it. I know it was a very lengthy video, and if you guys liked it, give a thumbs up and do subscribe for more interesting videos. Okay, thank you.